Hey everybody, today we're going to be going over properties of addition. So right off the bat, we're going to be covering three of those today. We have the identity property, the associative, and the commutative. So let's quick define what each of these are before jumping into some practice problems. So for the identity property, the identity property tells us that the sum of any number and 0 is the number. So we have that in words. Now let's see what that means in numbers. So if we have any number, let's represent it as a, and we add 0, our answer is going to be a. A plus 0 is a. So otherwise you could say 4 plus 0 equals 4, or 0 plus 1 equals 1. Moving on to the next property, we have the associative property. And that is when you add you can group numbers in any combination. So what does that mean? That means, say we have three numbers. Say you have to add parentheses. It doesn't matter if you first add what's in the parentheses here or here, you'll get the same answer. So like for example, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is going to be equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3. So on the left-hand side of the equation, 1 plus 2, we solve for the parentheses first. That's going to be 3 plus 3 equals 1 plus, let's solve for what's in the parentheses. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we get 6 equals 6. So that proves that. And for our final property, we have the commutative property. So this property states that you can add in any order. So that means a plus b is going to be equal to b plus a. Or otherwise 2 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 2. So we've gone over the identity property, the associative, and the commutative property. So let's try some examples identifying what those look like. So I'm gonna say, let's find which of the following are an example of the identity property. So all right, so let's think, what is the identity property? So we just went over that was the sum of any number and 0 is that number. So looking at these four different equations, let's look at this first one. 8 equals 5 plus 3. While that is true, we're not adding 0 to anything. So it's probably not this one. Same for the next equation right here. We're not adding zeros anywhere, so that's not proving the identity property. And same for this one. We're not adding any zeros. So that leaves us with this last one of 0 plus 1 equals 1. All right, so now let's identify it in a different way. So if I write 9 plus 7 equals 7 plus 9, and I'm asked what property is shown. Let's think. We have the identity, associative, and commutative property. So the identity property is when the sum of any number and 0 is the number. So that's not what we have here. We're not adding any zeros. For the associative property, that's when you add, you can group the numbers in any combination. We aren't grouping any numbers here. And then we have the commutative property. So you can add in any order, which is exactly what we're doing. On the left-hand side, we have 9 plus 7, with the 9 preceding the 7, and on the right-hand side, we have the 7 preceding the 9. But these are the same answer. We will get 16 on both sides, and this is the commutative. All right, so say we were given 7 plus 2 plus 5. Let's add in some parentheses here. All right, so is this the identity property? Let's think. Are we adding 0 to get the, are we adding 0 to a number to get that same number? No, we're not doing that. So let's think. For the associative property, are we grouping the numbers in any combination? Yeah, so this is the associative. Let's just double check that this makes sense. So let's add the parentheses first due to order of operations. 7 plus 2, that's 9. 5 on the left-hand side, and then 7 plus, in the parentheses, we have 2 plus 5, which is 7. Solve both sides, we get 14 equals 14, so we see how the associative property works right here. All right, so let's try this type of problem again. So which of the following equations shows the commutative property? 6 plus 7 equals 5 plus 8. Um, 4 plus 2 plus 6 equals 4 plus 2 plus 6. 6 plus 8 equals 8 plus 6. Or 7 equals 0 plus 7. Okay, so let's go through this list. Now let's quick recall, what is the commutative property? That is when you can add in any order. So 6 plus 7 equals 5 plus 8. So that's not commutative because we're not adding in any order. The left-hand side and the right-hand side do equal each other, but this is not an example of the commutative property. So down to the next one, we have 4 plus 2 plus 6 equals 4 plus 2 plus 6. So since in this one we're grouping numbers together, this looks an awful lot like the associative property, which is not the commutative property, so not this one. And then we have 6 plus 8 equals 8 plus 6. So that is in fact adding in any order. So this is commutative. And let's just make sure our last one, let's identify what property that is. We have 7 equals 0 plus 7. So the sum of any number plus 0 is that number. And we know that through the identity property, which is not the commutative property. So our answer here is 6 plus 8 equals 8 plus 6 is an example of the commutative property. All right, that's all the examples I have today, and I hope that helped clear up properties of addition for you.